I'd like to question your religion, because it seems to me that you make science a religion in itself.
In what way?
Well, it seems like there's kind of a Richard Dawkins cult, Richard Dawkinism, like science really, nothing is certain in science. It works in statistics, you can't prove anything to 100%. So how can you say that science is better than religion, then what you're trying to do is still harm people that bring order to the world?
You can't prove anything to 100%. But 100% is a hell of a lot better than 0%, which is what you can prove by religious reasoning.
I guess you're giving up.
I mean, I think it... Let me try again on that. The idea that science is a religion, when in fact science is interested in evidence, and is prepared to change its mind if contrary evidence comes in. That's very, very different from a religion. As Lawrence said earlier, in science we're constantly open to the possibility of having to change our minds, and science proceeds by progressive refinement and changing minds. And there are things that I suppose will never be disproved, things like that the planets orbit the sun. That's never going to change. I don't think that the fact of evolution is ever going to be disproved. It's always going to be true that we are cousins of chimpanzees and of monkeys and of kangaroos. So there are certain things that we definitely know to be true. The evidence is so overwhelming that, in Stephen Gould's words, to object would be perverse. But so-called religious truths have absolutely no evidence going for them whatsoever.
If I challenged you as Richard Dawkins, you'd probably have a problem with that. Doesn't matter who I am.
No.
No, we're listening to you now.
Like,
you're challenging me now, and I'm accepting the challenge.
Fair enough. Look, I'm a Catholic. I don't agree with what George Pell thinks, but I don't think he's a pedophile either. Like...
No, I don't suppose he is.
I don't know. I've never asked him.
My point is that you, as an eminent scientist, if I challenge your scientific doctrine, maybe your theories or opinion, you'll disagree with me.
Well, I will. I mean, when you say disagree, I will say, where is your evidence? Here's my counter-evidence.
And ask for yours.
Let's sit down together and look at the evidence. I mean, that's very different from saying that I'm arguing from authority.
In fact, let me jump in. Authority, that's the key point. Richard is not an authority. I'm not an authority. There are no scientific authorities. That's a key point. There are scientific experts. Richard knows a lot about zoology. I know a lot about physics. But there's no one whose views are not subject to question. And that's the key point. And there's no student that should ever be afraid of saying to a professor in a science class, you're wrong and here's why.
Except in Germany.
Except anyway, maybe I think we... I think
why are you upset when I'm questioning you now? Like, isn't that the same thing? Isn't it like you're one of my professors?
Well,
no. What?
I think we're trying to have a discussion, but maybe I think the point is that maybe we should move on.
I mean, well, you say you're a Roman Catholic, and
I also study physics.
Yes, but I mean, do you think the wafer turns into the body of Jesus?
No.
Good. I'm delighted
then
to hear.
Then you're not really Roman Catholic. And the other thing that's important about science, and we had this discussion last night in the Muslim forum.
I might give an example. People didn't really buy the whole relativity thing when Albert Einstein first came up with it. There were people, it was when those former scientists started dying, that was when people started accepting relativity.
But the difference is, that there's a fundamental difference, and you should really appreciate this, and I'm surprised in some sense that you don't yet, but I hope you will.
Well,
listen to me for a second, is that there's a difference between a story and something that makes predictions. And the only thing that really makes science really interesting is it works. And so last night, when I was debating with this Muslim, I challenged him when he said it's rational. I said, you're choking. I have two choices. I do the Heimlich maneuver or I pray for you. Which do you want me to do? And I think the real point of science is that it works. And if it didn't work, none of us would give a damn about it. Really.
Yes, but the point is it works until someone comes up with a better theory. Right?
What was that? No, it works.
Would you
a car
agree?
works, an airplane works, the lights in this room work.
Well, you know, classical
my
electromagnetism
computer
worked
works.
until someone came up with a better theory.
Yeah.
So?
That's what happens.
That's what makes... Anyway, I don't... Okay.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we should move on.
A common claim made by religious people is that you cannot disprove the existence of God. Do you think science will ever advance to a point where it can disprove the existence of God? And if so, would religious people become atheists, or would they find something else to believe in?
Actually, some religious people have been asked that. I mean, specifically with respect to Christianity. There have been Christians who have been asked, what if archaeological evidence showed conclusively that Jesus never existed? And many of them said, no, I would go on believing in him, which is hard to credit. But
Hello. This is going to be a bit of a change of subject, but I'm more interested to see what Richard himself, and maybe even Lawrence, who had a similar experience, thinks of people on the internet, and even to a lesser extent in real life, misquoting or taking what you say at face value, almost raising what you say or who you are to a godlike status. I'm sure there are people here who have browsed websites such as Reddit, seen things on Facebook, 4chan, of people who just kind of use you or people such as Carl Sagan, as Neil deGrasse Tyson, people who say important things and who are smart, obviously, but they just take what they say at face value. How do you feel about that being used in like an atheistic argument? You know, people kind of almost reversing the tables. They're almost treating you guys on like a godlike status as kind of, I don't know, how would you feel about that? Or have you even observed that in the first place?
I don't think I have observed it, but if I did, I would be very disturbed. I would be very upset if anybody treated me the way Roman Catholics are taught to treat the Pope. Which, I mean, I think it's a truly horrible idea. That
You always make me kiss your ring every time I meet you. What are you talking about?
I think it's a truly horrible idea that anybody should believe something simply because person X believes it and tells them that's what they've got to believe. It's one of the most disagreeable parts of the Roman Catholic Church that it constantly argues from authority and passes the word down, especially when the word is frankly made up in the first place.